Recording in progress.
Good morning, honorable members, and you are welcome in this meeting. I would also like to greet and welcome the Department of Police, and I was made aware that the Honorable Minister wouldn't be here, but senior leaders of SAPS will be with us this morning. So I would like to welcome all of you to this meeting this morning. I can see that there are various ranks, which I'm not even, I don't know how to, I don't know the protocols as to who I can, greet first and followed by whom. So I am not going to break protocol, and other than just to express my, and I believe the Portfolio Committee on Social Development's gratitude for having you among us this morning to do this work that we are all called to do. Before we go further and we start our meeting, I would like for us to just take 1 minute or 1 moment rather of silent prayer or meditation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am also aware that we have among us the Department of Social Development, and we have the Parliamentary Legal Services representatives, whom I greet very warmly this morning. It is quite coldish in Johannesburg. And I would like to welcome and also greet the teams that are helping us, that is from the Department of Social Development, our parliamentary support teams, and the parliamentary support teams of SAPS. You are all appreciated and you are welcome in this meeting this morning. Without further ado, I would like to hand over so that we get a sense of who is among us, especially from the department, from SAPS, and also among our colleagues in the Portfolio Committee on Social Development. I would like to hand over to Lindiwe Nzabu, who is going to take us through the apologies and the agenda for this meeting. Thank you so much, Lindy. Over to you.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee as well as the department. It's safe to say, Chair, I'm on study leave, but I will take through to this process, and my camera will be off. So I was not supposed to be part of this meeting. Chair, today is the 16th of May. And we have invited the Department of Police to come and present on the amendments proposed by the NCOP in the Older Persons Amendment Bill, Chair. It's safe to say, in terms of what is in attendance from the portfolio side, I have you, Chair. String the agenda. You have an agenda?
I do. I'll share it now.
No, it's fine. I've got it.
Oh, okay.
Are you able to see the agenda, members?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Chair. Chair has already welcomed everyone, and I'm just introducing, Chair, the members of the portfolio committee that are in attendance. I have you, Chair, as the chairperson of this committee, Member Masango. I have Member Abrahams. I have Member Mare. I have Member Ramalia. I have Member Munyai. I have Member Mahato. I don't know if there are any members who just joined while I was busy talking. Chair, in terms of apologies, I have an apology from Member Maria was supposed to come later as well, Chair. There is another apology from the Minister, Minister Tunu, who is unable to attend today's meeting, but he has delegated senior officials to attend the meeting. I do have a number of officials from the Department of Police who are in attendance and then who will take through the committee in the presentation, Chair. And then from 10:09 to 20:09, we will receive a briefing from the Department of Police, Chair. So sorry, Chair, I've shared an incorrect agenda. Yuri, do you mind to share from your side the correct one? Thank you very much, Yuri. I was not prepared, Chair, to join the meeting to talk. Sorry for the confusion. From 9:10, Chair, to 9:50, we will receive a briefing from the Department of Police on the implementation of amendments to the Older Persons Bill. And then, Chair, and then we'll get an short input from the DSD and then Parliamentary Legal Advisor in terms of what is being presented by the Department of Police. And then we'll continue to have our deliberations as the committee, clarity-seeking questions, and the responses from the department. Chair, and then you will have your closing remarks at 12:20, 11:30 to 12:12. Chair, this is going to be a short meeting, Chair. I don't think it's going to last long. Also to record that Member Dahodin has just joined the platform. Thank you very much, Chair. And apologies for the confusion and the errors I've made. I was unprepared. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sis Lindy. Please accept my apology. You did send me an email about your being on study leave. For some reason, that didn't register at all in preparation for this meeting. So it is my mistake, and I accept that responsibility. And if you could please accept my apology to you. Honorable members, here is the agenda that I would like to present before you for adoption, please. Honorable Munyai.
Yeah, I want to move for the adoption, but however, Chairperson, on the very same length, I would want to be clarified as to whether the amendment of the bill that is proposed has been sent before the portfolio committee by the executive. Because, Chair, I'm raising this issue because the bill has undergone the previous administration public participation and also has gone past the NCOP. I want to check as to whether, maybe I should check that after adopting the agenda. Let me move for the adoption of the agenda so that I will be clarified after the meeting has been properly constituted. Thank you. I'll move for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable Munyai. I think the Honorable Member was not with us. I think you were not well when the Parliamentary Legal Advisor presented to us the status of the processing of this bill. But I see that the Honorable, just for purposes of bringing the Honorable Monyai on board, I see that Ms. Isaac is among us. If you could just take 1 second to just clarify this one for Honorable Monyai, because other members are on board and we know why even we have the Department of Police with us today. The Honorable Monyai has adopted the agenda. If I could please have an honorable member to please second that.
Chairperson.
Oh,
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Makato.
I second.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Makato. I saw the hand of Honorable Takudin. Was this to second the adoption, Honorable Takudin?
Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, it was, Chairperson.
Thank you so much for that. So thank you, honorable members, and thank you that now we have an agenda that we can follow to go on with our meeting this morning. As has been asked, I would like Honorable Monyai.
I wanted to say that I was absent physically. I was following the proceeding of the meeting in every detail. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So what does this mean, Honorable Monyai? Are we still going ahead?
You said you are asking for. You said you are asking is Mrs. or Mr. Isaacson to clarify, yes. Because yes. If the bill has gone past the NCOP, are waiting for the president assignment. We must wait for president to apply his mind in that regard. So let's allow the clarity that you have requested.
Yes, yes, because all that was covered when you were following online, and we know exactly why the bill is back to the NA committee, because there were changes, there were amendments that were made by the NCOP. So, but Ms. Isaac, please just come in. My sincere apology to the Department of Police. We will be handing over the meeting to you just now. Ms. Isaac, I hope you are ready for us to just give this clarity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just a quick recap. This bill is a Section 76 bill, which is an ordinary bill affecting provinces. The process that must be followed by the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces is prescribed by the Constitution. So this bill was passed by the previous National Assembly in the 6th Parliament. It was referred to the NCOP. They made amendments to the bill. In terms of Section 76(1)(c), when the Council passes an amended bill, the amended bill must be referred back to the Assembly. And if the Assembly passes the amended bill, then it must be submitted to the President for assent. So there's this step in the process prescribed by the Constitution. So we have to follow this process. We don't have a choice in this matter for us to be compliant with the Constitution. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac. Honorable Monyai, does that give you the clarity that you required?
So, okay, when it comes to NA, does it open for the NA again to make additional input? If the legal mind can clarify. Or to approve, because when it comes to NA, the NA must further approve and send it back. But then, does it allow for us to make another organ of the state to make additional input on the amendment? Or it coming to the NA for approval, then so that those things are approved by the NA and the bill gets sent back. If I could be clarified, Chair.
Honorable Nyai, that is the questions that you're asking, and they are going to be clarified again, were both presented by the parliamentary legal advisor and were part of the presentations that were sent to us. But if you could please, Ms. Isaac, just take the honorable member through the process you took us through in our last meeting. My sincere apology for that.
Thank you, Chair. So again, as I said, this is a Section 76 bill, which is an ordinary bill affecting the provinces. When the amended bill, which the NCOP passed, comes back to the National Assembly, the National Assembly can either pass that amended bill or reject that amended bill. Now, if it's passed by the National Assembly, it goes to the President, and that's the end of the process. If the National Assembly rejects the amended bill, there's another step in the process, and it gets referred to what is called the Mediation Committee. That is a committee consisting of members of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. And there the committee negotiates on what version of the bill to pass. That committee will decide whether to pass the version that was amended by the NCOP or the version of the National Assembly, the original version or the new version. And then that will it determines now whether it goes back to the NA or the NCOP. So it gets a bit complicated. So if the committee passes the version of the NCOP or recommends the version of the NCOP, then the National Assembly must repass the bill. So there's a process, a further step, but all we need to know for now is that either the National Assembly will pass this bill or reject it. If it's rejected, there's a further step in the legislative process where further amendments can be made by the Mediation Committee. So it will be determined as to whether this committee is going to make a recommendation to the National Assembly that further amendments be made and the previous bill, the amended bill, be rejected. So we will have to get to that step once the committee deliberates on what is presented, and if there's other views that further amendments should be made, or there's a problem with the bill that was passed by the NCOP, we can still make amendments, but that will be in the Mediation Committee.
Lindy, I think we've lost the chair. I don't see her online anymore.
Excuse me. Let me call her Member Abrams, because I think Lindy is not in the meeting anymore.
No,
She just
I wanted to say that the process clarified. That's what I understand the process. But I must just ascertain with the NCOP.
Yeah, I'm just going to contact the chairperson, ma'am. Okay, I just contacted chairperson. She said she was disconnected because the area had just been load shedding where she is. So she requested to Member Munyai to just stand in while she's trying to reconnect.
Honorable members, can we allow those that supposed to, their agenda is duly adopted? clarity has been made on the process that we understand, which is rightfully in law. But then the next agenda item, we were to ask if you can flight again, please. I just didn't see it properly. Who's the next? If you can assist me, please, content advisor. Who is the next in the agenda?
Okay, so the next now is the briefing by the Department of Police.
Accordingly, the delegated person from the Department of Police can brief the meeting.
Sorry, Chair. Before that, Chairperson had said maybe they can introduce themselves before that. And thank you.
Okay. Please introduce yourself and the members of the police as requested to present before this session.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to yourself, greetings to the honorable members of the committee, my colleagues on the call. I am Lieutenant General Ibello Musikidi, the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for policing. With me, Chair, is Lieutenant General Advocate Tamani, who is the National Legal Services Head. He is not alone. He is with the person that will be taking us through the presentation, which is Major General Dr. Van Rooyen. We also have from the Division Visible Policing and Operations, the Acting Divisional Commissioner, Major General Susan Pinar, our Parliamentary Liaison Officer, Brigadier Craig Michelle. Chairperson, we are going to take you through on what we were requested to do in terms of those amendments as were clarified by the content advisor. And the presentation will reflect on the impact it will have in policing. I must indicate, Chairperson, that some of the added or amended section of this bill requires certain actions to be undertaken by the department, and the presentation seeks to clarify that and to indicate what impact that will have in policing, bearing in mind that the people that we are intending or the bill is intending to address will not necessarily mean that they are on the other side of the law. Hence, we want to highlight on the issues that will have an impact on policing and how these particular individuals should be treated so that they are not perceived to be criminals, and the type of resources that we are having if that is to be undertaken. If you allow me, Chairperson, to call upon Major General Dr. Van Rooyen to take us through our presentation. It's a very short presentation because we're only looking at those pieces of the bill that we were required to look at and what impact it will have. I thank you, Chairperson.
Permission granted. You may proceed.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson. Good morning, Honourable Members, Generals on the platform and all other colleagues. The presentation that we will give today is a short presentation, and as General Musikidi indicated, it really only focuses on matters that affect the police in the bill. So our presentation consists of an introduction. Then we will focus on the comments of the Older Persons Amendment Bill specifically, and then just a short conclusion. Chair, from the beginning, the South African Police Service must reiterate that we welcome the opportunity to participate in the deliberations on the Older Persons Amendment Bill. We regard the protection and well-being of older persons as a priority and has issued various directives relating to the treatment of victims in general and older persons in particular to ensure that police officials comply with their obligations. If we look specifically at provisions in the Act or the bill, that we want the committee to take note of our comments. Let's start with clause 3. Clause 3 deals with the implementation of the Act. And from the start, it's important to reiterate that we welcome the formalization of an interdepartmental structure to integrate, coordinate, and monitor the effective implementation of the Act. Coordination between different departments and stakeholders are critical to ensure the effective implementation and to provide adequate care and protection to older persons that they deserve. The care and protection of vulnerable groups, in particular older persons, require a concerted effort by all departments and stakeholders. The coordinated initiatives furthermore support and strengthen the services available to assist older persons with effective and efficient support. When we deal with clause 15 of the bill, Chair, this is a concern of the police. Clause 15 deals with the removal of older persons to temporary safe care, and the bill proposes the insertion of a new section, Section 25 capital A, into the Act. Now, Section 25 capital A1 provides that a police official, amongst other officials, may remove an older person from his or her, or with his or her consent, or the consent of an authorized person if the older person is incapable of consenting. If I can give an example, if an older person suffers from dementia and he cannot consent, then it means there must be an authorized person who can give consent on his behalf. However, the bill and the Principal Act do not make mention to who will be regarded as an authorized person. In other words, let's say an older person stays with a child who's taking care of the older person, and that child is abusing the older person. Will the child then qualify as an authorized person? Who will be the authorized person if we find an elderly person in the street who is suffering from dementia and who is incapable of saying where he lives? Who will be regarded as an authorized person in circumstances such as those? So we call on the committee to consider the inclusion of an authorized person to make it clear as to who will be the person who will be capable of granting consent for the removal of the older person if he or she is incapable of doing so. Then furthermore, Section 25 capital A3 provides that the police official who has removed an older person must inform the family of the older person in writing of such a removal. It is unclear how information may be obtained if a person is incapable of consenting and the authorized person does not have the information. In other words, how will we be able to gather the identity of the older person and the whereabouts of the family members? Now, from a practical point of view, this places a huge administrative burden on the police. It means policing resources will be diverted to conduct administrative functions and to locate the family members of the person. The Department of Social Development is primarily responsible for the welfare of older persons and should therefore be leading this process. Chair, can I just request that we move to the next slide, please? As I indicated, social development is primarily responsible for the welfare of older persons and should therefore be leading this process, including the administrative process that will be required to locate the family. The bill is silent on where a police official should take an older person once the person has been removed. A police station is not a safe place, and surely not a safe place for an older person who is suffering abuse or is suffering from being disorientated or traumatized. And therefore, we request that the Department of Social Development must play a critical role to provide for the social welfare of persons once they have been removed, to ensure that the risk of secondary trauma is mitigated. The administrative matters relating to the location of a family and the placement of older persons once they have been removed should be the responsibility of social development. Next slide, please. Section 25, capital A7, furthermore provides for the misuse of a power, that if a misuse of power, as referred to in Section 25(a)(1) by a police official, that constitutes grounds for disciplinary action against such a member. However, it is unclear what is envisaged by a misuse of power. It is not defined or clarified in the bill. Instead, Section or Regulation 53A of the South African Police Service Discipline Regulations provide that misconduct is committed if an employee, and that includes a police official, fails to comply with or contravenes an act, a regulation, or a legal obligation. In other words, regulations, the discipline regulations already deal with misconduct when a member of the police is concerned. It is therefore recommended that the proposed Section 25(a)(7) be removed from the bill, as the legislative framework of the police already provides for disciplinary steps to be taken against police officials, as set out in the discipline regulations. Chair, in conclusion, the South African Police Service is committed to ensure the protection, promotion, and maintenance of the rights and well-being of older persons, and we will continue to work closely with the Department of Social Development, both at national and provincial level, as well as with civil society stakeholders, to ensure that we protect and secure older persons. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your presentation. Before I allow for further deliberation, and I'm sure you are aware, generals, that the law may not address everything. Some of the issues can be addressed through regulation in law. And I'm sure the legal mind or the content advisor can clarify to that effect. But some of the issues, presentation has been made. We have to allow for deliberation in this regard. Accordingly, I'll give an opportunity for presentation. I think there's a presentation that was supposed to be made from the DSD side, isn't so? Or was only the police? Let me just go back to the agenda and check in that regard. Otherwise, we should allow for deliberation by members based on the presentation made thus far.
Chairperson, acting chairperson, if I may, I think maybe some of our questions might even be answered if we allow the department and the legal team to first come in, because we might be asking questions that they would have then preempted and can answer already. Thank you,
Not a problem. Remember, I was not clear on the agenda when I asked the department. I think the agenda item says the presentation by police and by department. Accordingly, allow me to invite the Honorable Minister or the Acting Director General or the Deputy Minister to lead and delegate those that are supposed to make presentation. It's my privilege to invite the department.
Chairperson.
Yes, good madam.
Chairperson, I just want to correct you. We don't have acting DG. We have a DG. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was further clarified in the last meeting. The problem has been acting for so long. The Director General or the Minister, Deputy Minister, Director General or the authorized person to lead the delegation with respect to presentation. Thank you for correction, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ntate Munyai. My name is Civil. The surname is Lefodu. The DG has another meeting that he is tied up in. I am with colleagues in this meeting. We are also with Advocate Mchochisa, our legal advisor. I just wanted to indicate that from the side of the department, we have noted the presentation that has been delivered by SAPS, and we indeed appreciate the articulation of some of the critical elements that would enable us to effectively and swiftly so be able to implement the bill once enacted. I want to just also indicate, Honorable Chair, that the questions or comments that have been raised through this presentation are clearly issues that are going to go into our regulations. And like, for example, on the issue of the authorized person, those issues will be clearly unpacked and clarified in the regulations. And in terms of the recommendation that we re-look into the areas that are now currently covered by the legislation that regulates SAPS, those issues are also going to be clearly unpacked within the regulations. And it would not be possible for us at this stage to remove that, because it does not only impact on SAPS. For example, when we say the misuse of power, we are not only, for example, referring to a specific issue that would have necessarily been covered within the SAPS legislative framework, but we want to make sure that there isn't any misuse of power at any given stage. So we will further clarify and further unpack such incidents within the regulations. And I also want to indicate that as we move along with this process, one of the key things that needs to happen is to ensure that we approach and prepare.
Excuse me, sorry, I don't like to disrupt people in a meeting, and the presenter especially from the department. Allow me to welcome our Honorable Chairperson, Masango, who will lead the meeting forward. I'm sorry, Chairperson, I was just reminded by text that you are back, and you are long back. I'm sorry about it. After you present, then the person that will take forward will be our Honorable Chairperson, who will lead us as usual in the protocol of these meetings. You may proceed. The chair will take over. I won't come back. When you conclude, just note that the chair will be taking over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ntate Munyai. I just wanted to say, I want to also remind SAPS that what is very critical is the collaborative approach that we have agreed we would be adopting in terms of our preparations towards the effective implementation of this bill once enacted. So in that regard, there will be training sessions, there will be regular meetings, there will be engagements and consultations in terms of making sure that we are all on the same page. In addition to that, there will be sessions where we are going to be clarifying the roles of each government department that is affected by this particular bill. We will equally be having expectations from each department that they would be reporting on a regular basis in terms of the work that they do. We have had the National Instruction of 2014 that has not really been fully implemented over many years. And we would like to make sure that we facilitate and strengthen our reporting processes so that each department can then be able to take responsibility for its key area of work. So we have noted the concerns that you have raised, and we are saying through all these structures, specifically also the intersectoral structure that we want to strengthen its operation, we will be able to deal with some of these issues that have been raised. Otherwise, from our side as a department, we welcome your comments, and we look forward to working very closely with you through the intersectoral structure that I've just mentioned. And we will also be part of the processes that we are going to be embarking upon once we start with the development of regulations. And of course, also, roles will be clarified, as I've said, and we will be looking forward to also a collaborative way of working together towards effective reporting and the improvement of the lives of older persons. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lehodu. And my sincere thanks to the Honorable Munyai for steering the ship when I was having it's not even a load shedding, it's an outage. So there was no way of knowing that it was going to happen. And we thank the fact that we have inverters and things like that. So thank you for that, Honorable Munyai, for leading as ably as I think you have. And I wish
Thank
to
you,
also
thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
thank you so much also, and I want to apologize to the honorable members and to the Department of Police for that abrupt and unprofessional shutdown on my part. Thank you so much for that response, Mrs. Lehodu. I just want to now be assured before I go to the deliberations of the members, I want to be assured on the side of the parliamentary legal advice, if what has been said so far, where does it leave us? Does it leave us where we can still continue if the deliberations don't bring about any amendments? Are we in a position where we can just continue as you presented to us at the last meeting? Thank you, Ms. Isaacs.
Chairperson, just to clarify your question, you want me to advise on whether you can continue with the process or?
Yes, I want to say now that the Department of Police have presented and the clarity of their concerns or of the gaps that they identified in the amendment bill where their mandate is concerned. Now that that has been clarified, can we then assume that there are no changes, there are no amendments that will call for the other part of the process that you refer to as the mediation and so on and so forth? I'm saying that being mindful that the members are still going to deliberate on the inputs that we have received from the Department of Police. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson, for that clarity. So the one issue that the police raised was the question of authorized persons in clause 15, which is the proposed section 25(1)(a). It says a social worker or healthcare provider or police official must, with the consent of an older person or authorized person, and that's regarding the removal. So if we look at the regulations, the power of the minister to make regulations, if we go to the Principal Acts, Section 34 of the Principal Acts, 34(1)(b), it gives the minister the power to make regulations regarding the form of any application, authority, certificate, consent, notice, order, register, process, or subpoena, which is to or may be made, granted, issued, given, issued, or kept in terms of this act, or any other form required in administration of this act. So in order for regulations to be made, the bill or the act must empower the minister to do so. And I think section 34(1)(b) does give the minister power to make regulations regarding authorized persons and the process that must be followed in the removal of an older person. So it will, the minister can later on make those regulations, and we will be able to address the issues raised by SAP in those regulations. So from my reading of the legislation, Chairperson, I think we have room to allow the minister to deal with those process in terms of regulations. Thank you. And with regard to whether now we need to go to the mediation process, if this committee accepts that reasoning that the department gave about the regulations, then and they will accept the amended bill, there wouldn't be a need to go with a further process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, you've heard those inputs and those clarities. I'm now going to hand over to the honorable members to make their comments. I recognize Honorable Munyai, Honorable Abrams, Honorable, that would be the only Honorable Mare, and that would be the three members. Honorable Munyai, we will start with you. Over to you. Thanks.
Honorable Chair, let's not create dispute where there's no dispute. Let's not try to rewrite the law where it's not desirable. The key issues here, the department has clarified that they will work together with the Department of Police in making the regulation. And the content advisor or the legal advisor says that ministers is not empowered to make such. I don't agree with the view, because you cannot have every aspect of the law making process infused into the bill. It has never happened. I myself participated in many bills or lawmaking process. It has never happened. It has gone past the NA, and the issues agree with the view of the department representing the minister that all the concern of the police will be dealt with within the regulation process, when they make the regulation. And as I said earlier in my comment after they presented, is that these matters that they are raising can be addressed through regulation. And it has not been the members of the select committee of the NCOP that were opposed to that, not of the National Assembly that were opposed to that. It's a view that the legal advisor or the content advisor, Isaacs, hold, which I don't agree with. I agree with the view of the department in this regard. So there's no need to change anything from our side. This is my view that I hold. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Munyai. I think you didn't hear Ms. Isaacs well. She said, according to 34(1)(b), the minister is empowered to do regulations, and she listed all the things that the minister is empowered. So I take it that you are agreeing even with what she has said, because she literally confirmed what Miss Civil said. So I just wanted to correct the fact that you say she said the minister can't. She said the minister can. She is empowered by that section of the law, of the amendment.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Yes.
I apologize to is it Mr. or Miss Isaacson? Miss Isaacson?
Miss
Isaacs. Isaacs, the mistake that I've made or appeared to have made. I apologize profusely.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem, Honorable Munyai. Then we will go to the Honorable Abrams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and all protocol observed. Thank you, SAPS, for the presentation. Mine is just to say that, it's important that legislation leaves nothing to assumption. So thank you to SAPS for highlighting some of these points. And then, of course, the confirmation that much will be addressed in the regulations. Chairperson, I just would like to, agree with the department in that, we should keep Section 25A in the amendment bill. When it comes to also misuse of power, Nobody is immune from this. And, we have seen quite often on, social media and news reports that, some, not all, some police officers, do take their position as a step too far. Chairperson, I would also like to, support and maybe the department can advise that maybe to suggest that the misuse of power, is added as a definition, if they can just look into that, if it would be necessary in the Act or in the regulations. And then also, Chair, looking at, Section 25, I am a little concerned when SAP spoke about the added administrative paperwork. And, I understand that they don't want to be bogged down in added paperwork when they've got much to do. However, the same would apply then to a healthcare worker who would then also have to be doing the necessary paperwork if he or she or that essential service person, healthcare, police officer, social worker, is the first on the scene and therefore have to, remove the senior. Chairperson, I do also want to point out, I was just taken a little back by, the presentation that says a police station is not a safe place. A police station should be the safest place in our country, and also police stations should have GBV desks, and they should have social workers. And, it brings us back to the point of our unemployed social workers. I mean, they should be, the Department of Police should, be looking at then employing more social workers. Do they make their police stations a lot safer if they aren't safe? And then lastly, Chairperson, I just want to take advantage of having SAPS here and to ask, when last have the training of your officers on the Older Persons Act been in your APP, and is it going to be in your APP, going forward? Because it can be in the department's APP to say, okay, let's, train the senior management or of SAPS, so it can be in departments of social development's APP, but is it in SAPS going forward that they then roll out training to more of their police officers, or does that responsibility and that target still rest with social development, in that social development's responsible for the broader training of all police officers? So I think that the last question is just one that I would like some clarity on. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Abrams. I will now hand over to the Honorable Murray.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to my colleagues, everyone that is present today. Chairperson, I just have one concern. I don't have an issue with what was said about the law and how they're going to be implemented through the minister and all these things. My concern is SAPS. My concern is SAPS, and I would like to know what is SAPS going to do about. I heard that Civil was saying that they're going to have training sessions with SAPS, and they're going to have on a regular basis, they're going to have meetings. That is fine. I want to know how is SAPS going to implement this thing into all the police stations, because if you look at gender-based violence today, Chairperson, it's a crisis. And SAPS, not all the police stations are having desks for gender-based violence. Till today, SAPS police don't know how to work or treat people that is coming in with gender-based violence. It takes me back on Mother's Day, Chairperson. I looked on TikTok and this lady was crying on TikTok, and she showed her mother sitting on TikTok with her arms, being chained in an old age home where the mother was abused, and she's crying. She's saying, "My mother would have been alive. My family didn't take note, and SAPS didn't take note of what was happening. When I went to tell them, they thought I was mad. Today, my mother's dead, and it's Mother's Day." the old age home abused my mother. How many cases are we having where parents or children, grandchildren go to police, say, look here, my mother's in this old age home. Yes, we signed a contract, my mother's going to be there, but my mother's being abused, you know? Do SAPs have the capacity to deal with these older persons? Because with SAPs nowadays, it's when they meet people, they alles kop en donder. They are just beating people up, you know. Here in my area where I'm coming from, it is in the newspapers every week. So I want to know what training is going to be given to SAPs, because SAPs don't have the capacity to deal with gender-based violence. How are they going to have the capacity to deal with the older persons? Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mare. I see that Honorable Mahatu's hand has gone off, so she must have been covered in the comments that have been made. My understanding, colleagues, of this meeting, and I'm going to be clarified going forward, was that we are getting a briefing by the Department of Police on the implementation of the amendments to the Older Persons Bill, which means, to me at least, my interpretation is that we are dealing here with the amendment bill and we are processing it for purposes of finalizing the bill. And Tandi Mahobelela, please unmute. Please mute. Thank you. So my understanding is that our comments and our questions are to cover the issues that have been raised, the inputs that have been raised by the Department of Police, and the clarifications or the responses that the department has given, notable of which is what Ms. Lehodo said, where she said that these issues are going to be taken care of in the regulations, which we now know that the minister is fully empowered to do those regulations. And also the fact that there's going to be, if there isn't already, or if there isn't, there's going to be an interministerial sort of structure of sorts. If it's already existing, it's going to be strengthened. That's what I understood Ms. Lehodo to be saying. I'm saying this to say that we have to be, or I would suggest that we leave the administrative, executive issues out of this particular meeting, because what you are raising are very critical issues that we encounter whenever we do oversight in the social development space. We are always confronted by people that have been hard done by the member of the police, the other. I have a query on my desk that is talking about the Department of Health, for example, to say that those are the issues. We can have a full meeting with our counterparts in the Department of Police, which is the Portfolio Committee on Police, where we thresh these issues out. But for purposes of this meeting, I'm just imagining that the senior officials of the police came to deal with a legislative issue where they are saying, here are the issues that we would like to be dealt with. I'm just trying for us not to overreach the scope of this meeting by getting into the issues that happen on the ground when we are doing our oversight, which are issues that are very, very critical and they need to be attended to. So also the fact that there's an interministerial structure that is going to be taking care of the issues that happen when all these things are happening, all these processes and procedures are being implemented. I just felt that I needed to say that in before I hand over, obviously, to the Department of Police, to say I'm sort of mindful of the fact that this meeting was about looking at the bill to enable the bill to go to the next stage where it will be handed over to the president to actually assent it, following the processes that still have to be followed. Honorable Mnyai.
No. Chair, I think all issues are covered. If I comment, I would have gone past. I wanted to comment that time when Honorable Member was speaking about the issue of scope and donor. So we have gone past that issue. So thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. May I please hand over to the members of the Department of Police on the issues that the honourable members have raised, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Just from the onset, I think it's important for us to keep in mind that the regulations cannot supersede the legislation. And the concern that we raised specifically relating to the burden placed on the police to locate the family after an older person has been removed remains a problem. From an operational point of view, we believe that the practical implementation of the Act will be problematic. The police resources are focusing on crime prevention, crime detection, crime investigation, and in view of the fact that the Department of Social Development is primarily responsible for social welfare, we are of the view that the location of the family of the older person who has been removed should be the responsibility of the Department of Social Development. And in this regard, I'm concerned that the department indicated that we can clarify these matters in the regulations, because the regulations cannot contradict or supersede the legislation. So from the onset, I think that is important. If I can respond to matters raised by the Honourable Abrams, the police is not of the view that any police official is immune to disciplinary steps being taken if a member do not comply with a legislative or a legal obligation. What we are saying is we have discipline regulations that already regulate that environment extensively, and therefore the additional provision in the bill that says abuse of power requires disciplinary steps is redundant, because the discipline regulation process already indicates the processes that must be followed and provides clearly for misconduct. Our issue is abuse or misuse of a power is not clarified, and this is actually the issue. Not that any member should get away with not doing his job. That is a matter for the police of serious concern, and we will never condone the non-compliance of a police official with any legislative obligation imposed on him. Then furthermore, I believe there was a misinterpretation by the Honourable, or a misunderstanding by the Honourable Abrams. I never said it relates to paperwork. I meant the administrative burden of locating the family, and it involves not only paperwork but also physically trying to find out where did the older person stay. If the older person, for example, stayed in an old age home, then the social worker will be privy to the documentation of a family and the admission documentation when the person was taken in by the old age home. So it will actually be more sensible to place that burden on the social worker to locate the family than on a police official. That was actually the point that we were trying to make. Then on the comment that the Honourable Abrams made on a police station being a safe place, that is unfortunately not the reality. A police station has criminals in detention that will do anything to try and escape from custody. At the police station, we have firearms, and firearms have in the past proven to be a magnet for criminals, to the extent that criminals have also attacked police stations and killed many members in an attempt to get to the firearms that are kept at the police station. Furthermore, it's important to note that people come to a police station when they are emotional, they have been traumatized, and you cannot expect a person to always act in a rational manner at the police station. So the perception that the police station is a safe place is unfortunately not in line with reality in view of the nature of the business and the business that are being conducted at the police station. So the older person shouldn't be kept at a police station. It is not a safe place. And we view the well-being of older persons as a priority, and therefore we would not want an older person who has been abused or who has been removed from his home to be kept at the police station, where he can be exposed to conditions that may traumatize him, that may upset him, and so forth. So it was really within that context that we indicated the police station is not a safe place. Then on the training aspect, I would hand over to the colleagues to make additional comments on the training as well. We do have extensive training programs pertaining to vulnerable groups, including on the Older Persons Act, which forms part of our training, both at basic training, in other words, entry-level training, as well as in-service training for police officials as part of the career path of police officials. This, of course, also includes specialized training, for example, for members at our FCS units, sexual offences, family violence, and children's units who work specifically with vulnerable groups. So the training, the Older Persons Act form part as the training of the training material that are conducted both for basic training and for in-service training curriculums. Chair, this also covers part of the question raised by the Honourable Marais on the training matters. Of course, the treatment of older persons requires all departments hands on deck, and unfortunately, by the time an older person's abuse is reported to the police, there should have been many flags raised that requires intervention. So it's really important for all departments to participate in taking care of older persons and to ensure that effective processes are put in place to protect and secure their well-being. Chair, I would hand over to any other of my colleagues who would want to make additional comments as well.
Let's hear General Pinar if there is further input from what Dr. Maga has covered. But Chairperson, I think that is the position. Maybe to reiterate the fact that we were raising this as requested or required, that we are going to adopt, we will be able to swallow. So we were indicating and placing it on record on the challenges that the police will be faced with to operationalize some of these amendments that were made. But we take cognizance of the fact that if the law has passed, and it should pass through acknowledging and making sure that everyone who is expected to undertake any activity from that law will do so with that understanding. General Pinar, on the frontline training.
Thank you, General, and thank you, Chairperson and honourable members. Good morning. On the issue of training, we deal with training in both the basic training. There is provision for the different legislation that police are obliged to implement, and the obligations imposed on the police by legislation that deals specifically with vulnerable groups like the elderly. That is covered in basic training, but it's also covered in in-service training, and targets are set for training. We have also from the visible policing side where we define victim-friendly service delivery. One of the requirements of victim-friendly service delivery is that our members at frontline services must receive training in the different legislation that deals with vulnerable groups. That includes domestic violence, it includes the Elder Persons Act, it includes the legislation that apply to children, both child offenders and child victims. So we do set specific targets for that to ensure that the members deployed at frontline level are trained, and also the relief commanders and the CSE commanders have the training to ensure that they can manage those services. Let me just also make one last point in that the issue of police stations as a safe space for the elderly. I think the concern, General van Rooyen already addressed that to some extent, but the concern is also that there's limited space at police stations. Many police stations, the only space they would have to keep someone. So if for instance, in an emergency, an elderly person is removed, they would be kept at the victim-friendly room, which means that the victim-friendly facility would then not be available for police to do the normal work that is done there, for instance, the taking of statements and providing information to a victim. Because it's not really, our victim-friendly rooms are not set up as a place for someone to stay. The only overnight accommodation we have are ourselves, which obviously we're not going to use for this purpose. But that is why I think we need to make the point that in terms of a safe space for an elderly person to be removed to, a police station may not be the most suitable. And we do need to ensure that if we do remove to a police station, it would be only an emergency, and until such time a social development can assist us to move the person to a suitable space. We do, as a 24-hour department that functions, we function 24/7, and we are generally, we find that communities come to us after hours especially. So we do need to ensure that our counterparts in other departments also work with us to ensure that if there is a need for help after hours, that we can work with each other and ensure that people are moved. And we deal with this with children, for instance, on a regular basis, and we need to deal with this with the elderly as well. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you to the Generals Mosekedi and General Pina and General van Rooyen for those inputs. I see that Honorable Manyai's hand is up.
Chair, please allow me to say this. You know, the older persons exist in society. Police are not going to exonerate themselves from dealing with them. They get also affected by crime in some instances. They also come and report. And these issues, I agree here 100% with Honorable Abrams that the issue that seeks to suggest that police station cannot be a safe place, that argument does not hold. And it seems to me, Honorable Chair, that I was going to ask this question if there was an executive member of the SAPS, minister or deputy ministers. Because I think before they come to Parliament, they must have a joint meetings amongst the executive and clarify these issues. Because we cannot act as a dispute resolution, and I'm sure it relates with the law as the lawmakers. But SAPS have a framework of treating older person, and they should not behave that they don't have. And that framework emphasizes on ethical principle and sensitivity, while also provide a specific guideline on policing crimes against them. And it also acknowledge in the issues of the unique needs of the older individuals and ensuring all interaction and conduct with respect and consideration of their age and health. So I mean the other key issues, the Department of South Africa, they don't work in silos. We work as a collective in some respect. You know, there could be also, I know even with respect to rape issues, the Tutuzela centers and so on. There are also call centers, there are a number of things. Some of the issues that they are raising, they want to argue to exonerate themselves from servicing this sector of communities. For instance, the ethical principle and the guideline. If we look at SAP's National Instruction number 1 of 2014, outline ethical guideline of treating the older person, and SAP's guideline for policing crimes against older person of 2017 were developed to sensitize the members of older persons' abuse accordingly, you know. So all I'm trying to say, the issues that Honorable Abrams raised of the training and respectful communication. Police officers are trained and have to be trained, and agree it must go to APP so that they are mindful of the difference between older and other individuals, and to communicate in the treatment of older person in appropriate manner. They cannot be exonerated from that responsibility, because they will interface with these older persons. With respect to the issues that their presentation in total, you know, I remain with the view that all the issues they raise, they can be addressed in the regulation. And they don't believe so, and I don't agree with them. And I'm saying this, I would encourage there should be further interaction between, I don't know whether that will happen at FOSAT level, between, or cluster level, between the SAPS and executive in the SAPS, and also on social development. Because their argument that this cannot be addressed through a regulation, I don't agree with them. Not each and every specific details, and don't even want to say which one is superior between regulation and the act, because it complement all issues. Regulation complement and enhance all issues that could not be clarified within the regulation. And I believe there will be clarity in the regulations. So it is very concerning. The argument of the police, though they raised them before us, I think to me, it should not rise, because it could be addressed. There's a platform to address them. It tells me the Ministry of Police and Social Development, there was no interaction. Second thing that they are raising, we have made an argument that can be addressed through the regulation. And unfortunately, police station, if it's not safe, it have to be made to be safe, because you have been trained how to handle firearms. And I'm saying that these people, there are people where they are locked in these cells, it must be protected. They're not just locked, but there are also police officers who are manning those issues, armed. So therefore, let's make our police station safer if it is not safe. Thank you.
Are you done, Honorable Mnyai?
And I said, thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Mnyai, and I reiterate my gratitude towards the Generals Pinar, Van Rooyen, and Mosigidi. I just would like to bring in, especially on the point that was made by the General Van Rooyen of the regulation not superseding the law. And in that case, I would like, in this instance, to bring in the advocate Mchochisa, who I believe is quite familiar with this amendment bill, and can maybe clarify that issue, with the view to also take into consideration the comments that have been made by the generals and also the Honorable Munyai, just so that we are all in this room on the same page. And the fact also that there was a mention of the interministerial processes that are taking place in ensuring that what this one can do, that one can do, and so on and so forth. Over to you, Advocate Mchochisa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, the executive of SAPS, and the executive of the Department and staff of Parliament. Indeed, Honorable Chair, as has been said over and over again in this platform, the issues that have been raised can be dealt with in the regulations. The regulations, by their very nature, are subordinate legislation, but the importance thereof is to deal with matters that are incidental or relevant for the proper administration of the Act. So the issues that have been raised by the executive members of SAPS, I align myself with my counterpart in Parliament, Ms. Isaacs, who indicated in the beginning, as well as our honorable members, that in terms of Section 34 of the Older Persons Act, which must be read together with this particular bill, will understand that the minister has been given a power to deal with any matter of procedure that needs to be followed when it comes to the implementation of this act. But what is very key is paragraph L, that is section 34(1)F, which indicates that the minister generally may make any other ancillary or incidental administrative or procedural matter that is necessary for the proper implementation of this act. So all those incidental administrative and procedural issues will be dealt with in terms of the regulations. So I'm trying to say, Honorable Chair, that I align myself with the presentations that have been made by honorable members and my colleagues. To take it further than that, you will notice that in terms of section 34, subsection 3, it indicates that any regulation that needs to be made in terms of this act, which affects the South African Police Service, must be made after consultation with the Minister for Safety and Security. I know the language is outdated, but what is key is that SAPS, and that is the Minister responsible for SAPS and the Minister responsible for Social Development, when that time comes for the making of such regulations, will need to concur in terms of what needs to go into the regulations as per what this piece of legislation is saying. So in other words, Honorable Chair, I am in line with what has presented already, that the minister has got a power to make regulations regarding the issues of authority as indicated by my colleague, and at the same time, for any matter that is incidental or administrative or procedural that needs to be made in terms of this act, and at the same time, SAPS must concur when that time for the making of regulation comes in terms of how those regulations should be at the end of the day before they are promulgated. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Advocate Mchochisa. May I please go back to the generals and just find out if they are empowered to respond to the issue of the APPs and the inclusion of the issues that we discussed today in the protection of the older persons, and as they relate to ensuring that they are in a safe place and so on and so forth, but also to respond to the issues that were raised by the Honorable Munyai of the still saying that the police stations have to be safe. If they were not, something must be done for them to be safe, as they are obviously, the places where government extends it's ensuring that people of this country are safe in whatever way that they come, and whatever age that they come to the police station. Their safety must be obviously ensured. So I don't know which of the generals will come back to us, and I mean, if there is a need for these questions to be answered at a different in a different forum, or in writing, or in whatever way, you just let us know that. But I would like to hear what your position is in as far as that is concerned, because they have been raised very sharply by the honourable members, and I am here to facilitate that those issues that are raised, they are addressed to a level that would be satisfactory for all of us. Thank you so much. In other words, I'm going back to I'm handing back to the Department of Police. Thank you so much to the generals.
Chairperson, thank you once more. And appreciating the inputs that the members have raised and the directive that is coming from the Portfolio Committee. And we are not in any way trying to run away from our responsibility. A chairperson, as outlined in the Act, as the member Monyai has indicated, that there are national instructions that were developed to address the issues of how to deal with the older persons that we are cognizant of, and we are going to be able to undertake those responsibilities. And Chairperson, what we were raising were issues where the expectation is that now we need to go back to supply chain management and require that we need to input on the specifications of when and how should we house the older persons upon removal. I think the bone of contention is on that article or section 25 capital A, that requires of the police stations to have a place where the older person will be removed either from home and be kept at the police station, or removed from the places where they are being abused, which is the place where the older persons have been kept, to come to the police station. We were raising to say that chairperson, even if it is undertaken, it will require that there is additional budget, there is additional a specification that we need to conform or change the how the police stations look to accommodate that. Even with sexual offenses, we don't have a place where we keep the victims. It's a 24-hour accommodation, while we are looking at other alternative placement that it's going to be done by other departments. Because if we look at section 205 of the Constitution, subsection 3, it directs what the police service has to do and what is expected of the police when such incidents of crime and protection and safety of our communities are concerned. And that, Chairperson, I can confirm to this committee that we will undertake, and that is our responsibility. We will do. I think my colleague from strategic management wanted to weigh on the issues of the APP. Because we have national instruction, I believe that has already been taken care of. But because the technocrats in different areas are here with me, a chairperson to support, I will allow Brigadier Michelle to indicate on the issues of the APP, if Brigadier, you were raising on that. And I think we will then hand over back to you, chairperson. But the commitment that we're making is that it's contained in the law, that is contained in terms of section 205 of the Constitution. You can be rest assured and be comforted that that will be undertaken. Brigadier Michelle, very shortly.
Thank you, General, and good morning, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable members. All departments are required to retable their strategic plan and annual performance plan on the 13th of June, following the withdrawal of the appropriations bill and the subsequent tabling of the budget on the 21st. So I can provide the committee and the honourable members the assurance that this matter will be addressed with both our top management as well as the executive going forward. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable, Brigadier Mitchell, for that input. That is going straight into the concern that was raised by the Honourable Abrams and later the Honourable Munyai. I see that the hand of Ms. Civil Lekhudu is up. Over to you. Over to you, Ms. Lekhudu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members and the members from SAPS and colleagues on the platform. I just wanted to say, Chairperson, that I do hear the concerns that have been raised by our leadership from the SAPS, from SAPS itself, and which is quite understandable. The issue of resource limitations or budgetary constraints is a challenge for government at large. And I need to indicate that this bill is not, it is not the intention of this department that through this bill we will be placing, unnecessary budgetary responsibilities on government departments. But we have noted over the years since the implementation of this legislation that there were very serious gaps. And Chairperson, I am comforted by the fact that you are the chair of these proceedings and you have participated extensively in the previous public hearings, and you have also been with us during this administration where we have been tackling, the outcomes of the public hearings that we have held in the recent times, and you have heard the concerns coming directly from our older persons. And I really feel that as the leadership of government, we need to really make our strides in terms of making a difference in the lives of older persons. I think it is very, very glaring that we have not done very well in terms of the implementation of the National Instruction Number 1 of 2014, which we have all been talking about now. It has been in place since then, but unfortunately it has not really worked well for the protection of older persons. And the sole intention of this national instruction was really to assist us in terms of making sure that there was a regulation of powers and responsibilities of police officials in accordance with the Older Persons Act through this national instruction. And there was also, the central issue in terms of this national instruction was to ensure that we deal with how older persons are being treated. So I really want all of us to understand, the significance of some of these processes, and also to say to our leadership from SAPS, the issue of role clarification, I did emphasize it earlier on. It was specifically to make everybody understand that we are just not going to say there is an enactment and now everybody must go and implement without due processes taking place. And I think, Advocate, you have covered me quite well in terms of the processes for regulations. We will be consulting, we will be engaging, but the primary issue is that we need to all be on the same page in terms of understanding that we do have a joint responsibility. Yes, the Department of Social Development will continue to take the lead and understands that it is the lead department within government in terms of making sure that the well-being and the protection and the care of older persons, but importantly, their rights are upheld at all times. So the role of the intersectoral structure is going to be central to the effective implementation of these legislative frameworks. And I think it's important that we also note that there are other supporting critical documentation. We, for example, have the protocol on the management of elder abuse.
You have muted yourself, Sybil.
Sorry, apologies, Chair. I didn't realize that. I wanted to also say there are timeframes that are attached to the implementation, for example, of the protocol. Even in the legislation, we're trying to attach timelines. So I don't think if we are saying something must happen within 24 hours, something must happen within 48 hours, it is something that we can really say it's a huge administrative or a huge budgetary burden to us as a particular government department. But we also say the collaborative approach that we are also going to be adopting in the implementation of this legislation should enable each one of us to know where to find who at what time. At the time of need, you will know that we have social workers. These are the responsible people that we can get in touch with to have access to social workers. And at a particular point in time, when you need a police officers must also be accessible. But the environment within which we treat our older persons must be a conducive environment, for example, that would enable our older persons to express themselves if, for example, they are reporting a case of abuse. And I'm raising these issues because over the years, we have not done very well. And I think we need to admit that we have not done well for older persons. And this legislation is going to empower all of us to collectively address and deal with the plight of older persons in the right way. That would say to all of us, we do uphold their rights and we do afford them the respect that they deserve. So I thought, Chairperson, I needed to indicate that the issue of resources and administrative burden, it's something that would happen perhaps for a very limited space. There are timeframes attached to the management of cases of abuse, for example, and we're not expecting that older persons will stay within police stations. There are shelters, as Honorable Munyai has already indicated. We've got shelters and there are safe places and so forth. And we also have residential care facilities which have got safe beds and so forth. So that is not the thinking. And hence I was saying, as we develop regulations, there will be consultations, there will be engagements. We are going to ensure that everybody is trained in terms of this legislation. We're going to have sessions where we're going to engage and clarify roles and responsibilities of each of the stakeholders that is affected by this legislative framework. And of course, the importance of adhering to timelines is something that is also going to come through during that process. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Lekgodu, for that clarification and for providing that comprehensive sort of, situational analysis of how things will unfold once this amendment bill has taken its course in being processed in Parliament. I see that the Honorable Munyai has his hand up.
I won't do this again. It's my last apology, Chairperson. I think after having listened to the advocate and having listened to SAPS as well, I think really we should not shift the goalposts. Number one, let's allow processes of the regulation and SAPS to participate in that process. Until they participate in that processes, they will not know to what extent their fears and concern will be addressed by the regulation. That is the first aspect. The second aspect, Chair, maybe perhaps as this portfolio committee, we must also conduct oversight on SAP's National Instruction of number 1 of 2014, which outlines ethical guideline on treating the older persons, and the SAP's guideline for policing of crime against older persons as of 2017. It's important that we conduct that so that we check to what extent SAPs really treat the older person in various environments. So lastly, Chair, is that if we can allow the process of the regulation and SAPs to participate on them, we will not be having some problem because there's not been an outcome that says, SAPS, your concern has not been accommodated within regulation. Therefore, Parliament Act to deal with that particular issues. We're going to deal with them. But if they have not exhausted the issues of the regulation as addressed by the advocate, it's a cause of concern, Chairperson, because only if those matters has been exhausted there, then they are not satisfied, they can come to us. Then we can pursue some of these issues. So that's what I will advise. The issues of the budget, why I was speaking about changing, shifting of the goalposts. The issues of the budget happens when the law and the regulation has been done. So when there's a law, when the Minister of Finance make budget, he looks at your mandate and how this budget as an instrument can empower the department to implement or execute its legislative mandate. So that is post the act, and the regulations. So I will appeal for better, as you said it, Honorable Chair, issues of interministerial, but the regulatory processes as subordinate to the law to accommodate the concern of SAPS. I'm not saying that they're not raising issues, but there's a platform to address them better, which I really agree with, which is regulation. Thank you, Chair. I will not raise my hand again.
Thank you, Honorable Munyai. I appreciate the discussions that have ensued and appreciate them because they were not just given, but there were reasons that were given with regards to what each of the speakers have given those inputs. And also, I mean, at the end of it all, what Civil said, Ms. Lekhodu said, is that there will be consultations. And my understanding is that you have an amendment bill, you take it through the processes, it goes to the NA, it goes to the because it's a Section 76, it goes to the NCOP. In this case, that happened in the previous parliament, so it had to be revived for it to be brought back to the NA because there were amendments that were made in the NCOP, and so now we are in a process where we are just navigating the processes so that it can get where it needs to be, which is the desk of the Honorable President. And I believe that it is at that level when it is made into law that the processes of regulations and consultations and so on and so forth would take place. So I must say that I'm not sitting here nervous and panicking, especially because these issues have been now raised, and both the Department of Social Development and the Department of Police have raised their issues, and they have been deliberated. And I really am trusting the process here that we now have information enough to go back, all of us, to go back to our drawing boards and to make sure that we take the process of actually processing the bill so that it can be law, and then regulations that speak to it can be drafted. And the older persons would be beneficiaries of those regulations, with everybody whose mandate is mentioned in this bill will have their hands on deck to make sure that no older person is left behind in terms of them being protected, especially in cases where they are being abused. And I'm one of the people, many here on this platform and others, that have listened to the to the older persons, and we cannot disappoint them. We cannot allow things to fall into the cracks. And I believe this process today is just making sure that those cracks are being totally and utterly, plugged, so that no older person will fall between the cracks in as far as them being protected. So I am saying that to thank each and everyone who is in this meeting, who has heeded the call for this meeting to be held or in honor of the older persons. So I wish to thank all of you. I wish to thank the Department of Police for having, brought their leaders from all angles, as I can see, and as I have heard. The inputs that came through just now. So I thank you all so much, and we thank the minister and his deputy in absentia. And your inputs have been well received, I believe, and they have triggered the discussions that have ensued. So we all are having work to do when we leave here. And I wish to thank the Department of Social Development, Mrs. Lehodu and Advocate Mchuchisa, and every single member or leader of the social development who are here today. And if you could please just take our regards also and our gratitude to the Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister for the work that have brought us here today. And of course, the team in Parliament that is supporting the work, that are always just saying on Chairperson, can we do this and can we do that and can this happen this way? Because they know the environment, and they are dedicating themselves always to make sure that this committee is supported at all material times. So thank you so much to our team in Parliament, and we hope that this is a step further, closer to making sure that our older persons are receiving the protection that we all believe they deserve, and also the fact that their dignity is restored. I mean, if you just have to listen to what the Honorable Maria had to say, we cannot afford to be in positions that we are in, and we still hear the stories that are being told. So thank you so much, all of you. I wish to thank our legal advisor in Parliament, Ms. Sue Ann Isaac, for your input and for your availability always. When we are doing these, when we call upon you to come through for us. And before I say the meeting is adjourned, I see that Miss Yolisa is our content advisor, her hand is up. Please come through, Yolisa.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this opportunity. Chairperson, in the absence of our committee secretary, I don't know if Ms. Isaacs can assist so that the committee, before we adjourn, is clear what will be the next step for the committee to do with regard to this bill. I know what she said in terms of what the legislation says, but in terms of, do we now go back to do clause by clause, or what will be the next step? Unfortunately, I'm not really knowledgeable when it comes to that. I don't know if she can assist us so that we know from this meeting what is expected of the committee now.
Okay, thank you for that, Yoli. Actually, that was niggling at the back of my mind, and I was thinking we were just going to ask Lindy to inform the committee, but it is a very, very progressive idea to actually make use of the opportunity that Ms. Isaac is here with us. What now? That is the question that Yoli is helping us to ask Ms. Isaac.
Chairperson, in the next meeting, the committee can formally deliberate over the amendments made by the NCOP, and then report that they've accepted, the committee agrees with those amendments, and recommend that the National Assembly adopts the amended bill, if that is the way the committee decides to go. So the next meeting can be to finalize the process and report.
Okay. No, thank you so much for that, Ms. Isaac. That is the process, honorable members, and that process has been enabled by this meeting, and which is why I'm completely and utterly grateful to all that have come here to make this happen. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Department of Police. Honorable Munyai, you did say that you were not.
I'll talk to you offline. I'll talk to you offline. Yeah, I'll talk to you offline. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, honorable members, very much. Thank you, members of the Department of Police. Thank you, Department of Social Development. Thank you, Parliamentary Legal Service. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Log quickly out. Log out.
Okay, guys, bye-bye. All right. What are you saying?
Are you going to log off with that?
Where do I log off? Must I switch it off?
Okay.
I'm ending the meeting now. Bye.